Okay, so I turned 29 in 2 weeks, and looking back on my early 20s, there are a few lessons I wish someone drilled into my head earlier. Not the typical follow your passion advice, but real lessons that would have saved me years of wasted time. So if you're in your early 20s or even your late 20s, here are three lessons I wish I understood earlier. So lesson number one, nothing is a replacement for the work. So the one thing I wish I understood earlier is nothing replaces the work. Reading about business isn't doing the work. Talking about your ideas with friends isn't doing the work. Journaling about your goals isn't doing the work. Cold plunges, affirmations, manifestation, motivational videos, none of that is work. The work is the work. You actually have to do the thing. So the magic that you're looking for in life is usually on the other side of the work that you're avoiding. Think about it like going to the gym, right? You can watch hundreds of YouTube videos. You can read 20 books on building muscle. You could go interview Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? You can buy the best supplements, but if you never actually lift the weight, nothing changes. So life works in the exact same way. Your life is shaped primarily by three things. And I wish somebody told me this a lot earlier. Number one, it's the actions that you take. Number two, the emotions you feel. And number three, the thoughts that you think. And people always get this backwards. They think if I think the right thoughts, I'll eventually take action. But the reality is the exact opposite. Action comes first, then you adjust, then you learn, then you improve. For example, I could have started my energy drink company when I was 22 years old. I had the ideas, I had the information, I knew exactly what I wanted to build, but I didn't take any action. And looking back now, the only thing that stopped me was me. It wasn't money, it wasn't timing, it wasn't opportunity, it was literally just a lack of action. And now I'm 28 and I'm finally taking action. So once you start acting, you realize how much time you wasted just thinking. So if you're watching this and sitting on an idea, stop thinking, stop planning, stop researching, just start doing. Lesson number two, procrastination is a silent killer. I read a quote once on Instagram that made me laugh, but I don't know why I have it memorized, but I do. And it said that procrastination is like masturbation. It feels good in the moment, but at the end of the day, you're just fucking yourself. And honestly, it's so true, right? Procrastination is dangerous because it feels harmless. You say things like, I'll start next week, I'll start when things calm down, I'll start when the timing is right, but weeks turn to months and months turn into years. And suddenly you're 30 wondering where time went, right? So another thing I wish someone explained to me earlier is this. Everything in life is a lagging indicator. Results don't show up immediately. You have to spam the work over and over before anything happens. It's like planting seeds, right? So you don't plant a seed and get a tree the next day. First, nothing happens. And then truthfully, nothing still happens for a long time. And then eventually something starts growing. And business is just like that. Fitness is like that. Investing is like that. You work and work and work for a long time. Nothing seems like it's happening. And then that's where most people quit. So the people who actually win understand something important. There is always a time gap between effort and results, and your 20s are the best time to play the long game because when you're 30 or 35, life gets more complicated and there's plenty of reasons to quit, right? You have kids, you have a mortgage, you have family responsibilities, safety, you have expectations of you, and suddenly you have a lot more reasons to play it safe. So if you're in your 20s, don't think short term, think long term. Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 to 2 years, but they severely underestimate what they can do in 5 to 10 years, right? So like let me just put it into perspective with a little bit of math. If the average lifespan in Canada is around 80 years old and you sacrifice 20 to 30 grinding on something meaningful, that's literally 10 years, which is like what? 12, 13% of your life, right? Assuming that prior to 20 you didn't really have to worry about bills and have all these stresses. So like would you sacrifice 13%, 12% of your life to enjoy the remaining 87.5%? Because I would, right? And I have. And compounding is a very real thing. Same thing with delayed gratification. It's very, very, very real when you can work without seeing the results for a long time. And it reminds me of something very recent that just started happening to me in the past 7 or 8 months. I remember when I first started out in business. So, like, I own Lumina Homes and Lumina Roofing and Exteriors in Calgary, Alberta. Here, I started the company when I was 22 years old, literally a month and a half out of university. And I remember competitors used to like stare at me and they used to be really skeptical of me. And it was fair, because like guys who had been in the business for 5 years or 10 years, they always look at the new guy like he's not going to make it. He's going to be out of here as soon as it gets tough. As soon as 3 to 5 years go by and he sees that he's not getting the results that he wants, he's going to throw in the towel and he's out of here, right? And I know they used to look at me like that because now I look at new companies like that, right? Like a lot of new companies have started up in Calgary in the past year and a half, especially because we had a very major hailstorm. And I look at these guys and I'm like, these guys don't know what they're getting into, right? You're gonna be 3 to 5 years in, you're gonna see no results, life's gonna get really tough for you, and it's either you stick it through and you don't. And once you stick it through, like the older guys have a lot more respect for you, and I think that's really cool. You kind of like get into this club, right? So like the guys who have been in business for 20 years, they're gonna look at the guys who've been in business for 5, 10 years and be like, all right, we'll see like what they can do with their time and their efforts, right? And like the guy who's been in business for 40 years knows things that those people who've been in business for 10, 15, or 20 years don't know. And like I'm like 8 years into business. And I know things that guys who are just starting out have no idea about the things that happen, right? Like what it takes to really get to that point. So I think that's very important, man. Like compounding is real, delayed gratification is real. Most people who think long term, they always, always, always win. And I guess that's kind of like the Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett way of thinking of everything, right? Like just building wealth. Same thing with your health; it compounds, right? So I think that's important. Moving on to lesson number three. Lesson number three is really close to my heart because I feel like as a kid, I didn't experience a lot of emotionality even from myself. So it was always like this weird void that I was kind of in when I had to deal with my own emotions. And it's super underrated, but it's very, very, very important. And it's pretty much that it's okay to be lonely sometimes. So when you're chasing something big, you're gonna miss things, you're gonna miss parties, you're gonna skip trips, you're gonna miss vacations. Like eventually people might even stop inviting you, honestly, if you don't have the most forgiving friends and like friends who understand. But people like en masse generally won't understand you. And that's part of the process because having a vision means you're choosing a path most people won't take. And when you choose a different path, your life starts looking different from everyone else's. So like right now, I'm 28 years old and I sacrificed a lot in my 20s. But also, it's March 13th, Friday, 12:43 p.m. right now. I'm chilling at home. It's snowing outside. It's minus 10, right? I don't stress about bills. I didn't set an alarm clock last night. Most nights, I don't set up an alarm clock to wake up. I don't have a job that I wake up dreading every morning to. I don't sit in rush hour traffic trading my hours for a paycheck. Was it hard? Yes. Did it suck? Absolutely. Were there times when everyone else was out having fun and I was working? Yes. But that's the honest truth, man. And that's really what it takes. And like I'll tell you a little story. When I was 18, 19, in one of the videos I talked about how I got into like the nootropic space and like the supplement space. I started working at a gym when I was 14 years old. 15, 14, 15, around there. And I worked at this gym pretty much almost up until the end of my degree when I was in university. And so every time I did go out, like I used to do the morning shift. So some Saturdays I would open the gym at 6 a.m. and then 8 a.m. on Sundays, or I'd be opening the gym at 8 a.m., depending on what the hours were, like if it was a long weekend, things like that. But, anyways, like on nights that I went out, I remember there was this one specific night. Keep in mind, this job was paying me $11.75 an hour. 11.50 when I started. There was commission on like selling personal training and memberships and all that, whatever. But keeping that aside, I remember I went out one night. I drove to the gym and slept in the gym parking lot, dude. I was 19 years old. Like I literally went out and I drove my car, slept in the gym parking lot for 3 hours because I didn't want to, like I owed that to myself. Like that was a part of my integrity, right? So like those were the sacrifices I was making, man. And like I couldn't even tell anybody about it, right? Because nobody gives a shit. And it just like I remember doing stuff like that for a job that was $11.75 because it's true to my character and my integrity, and that's important to me, right? So like, but now I'm sure there's a lot of people who could swap places with me, right? And it's not that I care or it matters or whatever, but I've even had like clients be like, oh man, like I love your job, like you have freedom, you're allowed to set your schedule, and I'll take this a step further. I remember working a job, so I've actually only had like three jobs in my whole life because I started my company really young. But in the three jobs, I remember I had a coworker whose family, like one of her family members, was pretty sick. And essentially, she couldn't take the time off to be there with that person during their last few days, mainly because all of her vacation hours were used. And at the same time, like she couldn't afford to miss work because how's she going to pay her bills, right? Having to make these tough decisions. And that's what happens when you don't voluntarily sacrifice things that aren't, or that are important to you, especially in the short term, right? So, like, I'm not saying don't go party, don't drink, don't travel, don't take vacations, but if it's hindering you from and like not even hindering just in the act itself, but if it's destroying your momentum, it's the same thing to me. Momentum is everything, and I can't stress that enough. There's a really good book about it by Kobe Bryant, and Kobe Bryant was pretty big on it. Hopefully, everybody knows who he is. But Kobe Bryant talked about momentum, and building momentum is the best thing you can do for yourself. Actually, Tim Grover talks about it too. I think I have his books somewhere here. I have like all of Tim Grover's books. But anyways, Tim Grover was also like Michael Jordan's trainer, and he trained Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, and like he would talk about how once you build momentum, everything that you do to slow it down makes it tougher for you to start it back up. So it's okay if people don't understand you, man. Hold on to the vision because in a world where everyone is trying to be the same, being extraordinary will always look weird. And it's okay to be weird, you know? Hone into it, own it. So those are the three lessons I wish I knew in my early 20s. Number one, nothing replaces the work. Number two, procrastination will destroy your dreams. And number three, it's okay if people don't understand your vision. And if you're young and you're watching this, you have more time than you think, but only if you actually use it. So act again, keep acting, adjust, and then keep going because the life you want is usually waiting for you on the other side of the work that you're avoiding.